Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you all to our webinar, Foster Care 201. I'm going to give you time to get everyone come in the room, in the place. We want to welcome you today. This is first of us offering Foster Care 201, so we just want to make sure that everyone get in, and we're going to go through this great material that we have in store for you today. The focus of Foster Care 201 is ESSA, and we want to do ESSA implementation. So how can LEAs have appropriate ESSA implementation? We want to make sure that everyone knows all the rules and the laws that we have in place and the great resources that we have provided for you here at Texas Education Agency for you to utilize for your ESSA implementation in your LEA. So welcome everyone to this meeting. We'll take a little more time to let everyone come on in. We are glad you joined us today. So just want to do a brief introduction. My name is Dr. LaTrinda Watson. I'm the at-risk state coordinator for the Texas Education Agency. I am the foster care point of contact. Every state has a foster care point of contact, so I represent Texas. And also in my at-risk work, I also do pregnancy-related services. So I'm your state contact for pregnancy-related services, along with Christina Page, who is one of the financial auditors. So we want to make sure you understand and know all of what we do here at Texas Education Agency within the highly mobile and at-risk state program. So that's where this portion that I am speaking, foster care and student support, is within the highly mobile at-risk student programs. So do just want to let you all know, if you want to get in contact with me regarding any questions or comments or concerns, please feel free to utilize my information. It is on the screen. Also, at the end, I will show you the foster care inbox. We actually have a foster care inbox where you can always email your questions or concerns, any situations that you may have. Please feel free to email that. And remember, you can always utilize the question, the Q&A. The Q&A is the only way we're utilizing today. Next, we have want to just tell you more about our highly mobile at-risk student programs. We are housed in the new Office of Special Populations and Student Support Division, where we were just realigned, and now that is our new name. So within the highly mobile at-risk student programs division, we have our military connected, we have our homeless children and youth, our pregnancy-related services, and our foster care and student success. So we want to make sure that as a unit, we provide you all with the update information, any knowledge, and our military connected students is guided by Dr. Jimmy Bowser, and our homeless children and youth is Desiree Veramontes. So those are your contacts for those areas, and I'm the contact for PRS and also foster care and student success. So just want to let you all know that. A question that I recently received: are the slides available for note taking? The slides will always be uploaded to the website after the presentation, and then also this recording, because we are recording this, so you always have access to the recording and the slide deck after the presentation. So next, our objectives for this webinar: we wanted to make sure that educators had the information for addressing those educational needs of students in foster care. Also familiarize educators and also any community providers that are joining us today. We want to make sure that you understood the foster care system and the relevant laws. So we're focusing on the relevant laws and policies today for Foster Care 201. And then we also always want to provide you with relevant information and the resources to increase that awareness and that knowledge for working with our students in foster care. So we want to make sure that you have all the wealth of knowledge today. So our agenda. So what we'll be covering today, we will be covering what is foster care. I always want to provide you with a general overview of what is foster care. Then we're going to go straight into the Every Student Succeeds Act. So we're going to talk about ESSA and ESSA implementation with our students in foster care. So we are strictly going to be talking about that. Oh, I thank you for letting me know. I thought I was sharing my screen. Hold on just a moment. So hopefully you're seeing my screen now. Thank you for letting me know. So we're going to go through our agenda. So hopefully everyone is seeing our agenda at this time. And you didn't see all the other slides, but you remember you always have access to the other slides. So if we have time, I'll go back and share my information with you. So for our agenda, we are having what is foster care, the Every Student Succeed Act, and then also ESSA requirement resources. So based upon those based upon ESSA, we wanted to make sure we provided you with resources. I'm going to delve into those resources that we have on our website right now. So I'm going to give you QR codes. We're going to talk about those resources in depth and how to utilize those resources today. So that's what Foster Care 201 is. And then also we will have foster care resources at the end other than that. So we're going to talk about all the ESSA implementation and then the resources along with ESSA implementation. So let's go into our presentation today. What is foster care? So remember, foster care refers to children and youth who are in custody of the state of Texas due to abuse or neglect, regardless of their living situation. So we want to make sure that you know it is temporary. We want to ensure you that, and the court must grant legal custody to DFPS if it is determined that the child cannot be where they're living in a safe manner. So DFPS secures placement for those students. So we want to ensure you have that information about foster care. It is totally different from DFPS removing the child from placement. There must be this word, conservatorship. So anytime you see foster care, you must see this word conservatorship and know that this is the meaning and that behind foster care. So conservatorship is used in the Texas Education Code. It also is utilized by DFPS to describe a status of a child who is in DFPS legal custody by court order. So remember, all those must happen and take in place. So two terms that we utilize within conservatorship, you have short-term and long-term. So that's why you see on the screen temporary managing conservatorship. It means that a child may be in temporary managing conservatorship with DFPS while the DFPS works towards family reunification or an alternate plan in the child's best interest. And then you have permanent managing conservatorship, PMC, to where DFPS may be named permanent managing conservators for a child until the conservatorship is given to an individual or relative or adoption, or until the child turns 18. So these are two placements that you are looking at. So you have temporary managing conservatorship and you also have permanent managing conservatorship. And remember, foster care regarding conservatorship. If the child is in DFPS legal custody, and we're going to cover later what does that mean. So DFPS may place the child in several different type of living situations, arrangements. So you can utilize a relative or a kinship caregiver, a close friend, foster family homes, residential treatment centers, or emergency shelters. Facilities overseen by another state agency that has been licensed for that purpose, adoptive families, or supervised independent living arrangements that we usually see on our higher ed campuses. So I wanted to talk to you about mobility because this is a word we see a lot, especially with our highly mobile at-risk students. They're our unit's name within TEA. So our highly mobile students, they may lose at least 4 to 6 months of knowledge, academic growth, emotional support with every one of those school moves, because based upon the living situations or the classifications, that student may be on a constant move. So we want to recognize that students in foster care they have a high mobility rate. And also when students in foster care change schools, despite the protections that we do have in place for them, they may lose credits. We hopefully not, because we do have a transition assistance rule for that to utilize repeat courses that are already taken, any of those situations. So that's when we place a transition assistance rule in place in order to make sure we want to have all those students' records go with them. But all of these situations may happen because of high mobility. And then it's very important to support those students in foster care when they come to your district or your campus. Please, and coming to this webinar today is a great way to support them by learning more knowledge and more information that we do have readily available for them here in the state of Texas. So the wheel of support, this is very important. Remember, once a student is in conservatorship, there are a lot of people working with that student to ensure that student reach success. So this is a wheel of support. So remember, this goes for students who are in conservatorship. The family needs support. You have support with the caregiver. And we want to show you this wheel of support. So when a student comes to your campus, remember, it is not just one person that is working with the student. It's all of these factors may be involved. So we wanted to make sure that you are aware of all of these personnel in our foster care and student success guide, because remember, we do have a foster care and student success guide. We go through each one of these personnel in the guide and explain what their responsibility is towards our students in foster care. So please make sure you're utilizing our foster care and student success guide. So now let's start delving into the Every Student Succeed Act. Now we're heading straight into the law. So we want to make sure that we go through. So before I do that, I want to look at some of your Q&As. I'm looking at that too as I go through the presentation. And remember, the slideshow and the recording, it will be on our website after the recording. So usually give us a week or two before we can get it posted on our website. It will be under the foster care and student success page on TEA's website. You will have access to the actual slide deck and also this recording. And personal questions and information, I will answer those as I go through the presentation, because I do see your questions, but some of those are depending on the questions that I'm presenting today. So you may get your answer as I go through this presentation. So thank you all for asking those questions. And remember, please put your information in Q&A. That helps us also to understand what information that you are needing out there. So we want to make sure that we get that to you and for you. Sure, hold just one moment. And someone asked for the guide, and I do give you an actual slide deck for the guide. And remember, I want you to leave with great information today. So I just want to go ahead and put that in. It will be in the Q&A, where the actual access to the guide is, because most of the things that I'm talking about, I am getting it from the foster care and student success guide. So in Q&A, I just placed that information in the Q&A. So please, you do have access to the foster care and student success guide. So let's continue on. Now, For the Every Student Succeed Act, and remember the link that I just put into the Q&A, it goes to the foster care guide. This information comes from Chapter 8. So if you want to go directly to Chapter 8, you can follow along with me. We wanted to make sure we specifically give you the information for the guide. Now, for ESSA, ESSA has a history. We want to make sure that you understand the history of ESSA. In 2015, it was the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. So within that act, we have allowed certain changes to happen for Every Student Succeed. In 2016, there were changes that were directly related to students in foster care, to where they called out students in foster care and stated that these are the accountability measures and the student performance measures that we want to see. So all of this information is in there. And it also required shared responsibilities for the state education agency, which is TEA, the LEA, which is your local districts, and then also Child Welfare Organization, which is Texas DFPS. So the foster care education requirements should mirror each other. So the federal child welfare law, along with Fostering Connections Success and the Adoption Act, and then also the Texas Education Code. So all of those codes should be mirroring each other, which they do. And we go a little bit further here at TEA, providing some commissioner's rules to help students within foster care. So we want to make sure we provide you with a little preview and overview for that. So next, within the foster care guide, we do have this. We want to show you how all of the rules and laws go together. So within the first side, the educational rights for students in foster care, we do have that. All of those are laws and rules within ESSA. So we want to show you the rules and laws with ESSA. Then we want to show you the Fostering Connections Act. And then we want to show you where Texas law may go a little bit further. So we want to show you with this chart on how all the rules and laws are working together. So the right to remain enrolled in the same school of origin. So this is upon entering foster care. So this goes across the board for all the laws. Also, we want to show you the right to remain in the same school while in foster care. We want to show you that. So, but Texas law goes a little bit further, rights to remain enrolled in the same school after exiting foster care. So I will tell you about that rule. The right to remain enrolled in the same school until completing the highest grade offer at that school, that is written within Texas law. And we're going to go over that. We created a tool for that called the School of Origin Determination Document, and we're going to actually go over that today too. And then next, when is it not in the child's best interest to remain enrolled in the same school? And regarding immediate enrollment in a new school, remember, students in foster care, as soon as they present you with the documentation that is required, those students should be immediately enrolled. And we're going to talk about that too. So it is across the board. It is written in ESSA. It is written in Fostering Connections. And Texas law states 3 days under Texas law, those students should be enrolled within 3 days, and 2 days under DFPS and contract. So we just want to show you how the Texas law and those laws go together. And then enrollment in a school, even if the child is unable to produce those records normally required. Remember that ESSA requires that, and also Texas law requires that. So and remember, immediate enrollment, even if they don't have documentation, they have 30 days to provide you with that documentation. That is written in Texas law. And then prompt records transfer when student move occurs. So we want to make sure that you understand Texas law requires within 10 working days that those records go with those students. So just want to show you this slide and comparing how the laws work together and how we go a little bit further with our Texas law. So next, also designating a point of contact for cross-agency collaboration to support that school stability for students. We do have our child welfare, it's Texas DFPS. We work alongside them. LEA must have a foster care liaison, and they must be identified in Texas Education agency's website, which is Access System. So every LEA should have a foster care point of contact. I am your state foster care point of contact, and every district has a foster care point of contact. So we do require that within the state law. Just want to let you know all of this great information. And next, clear written school transportation procedures are required by ESSA. So we're going to show you resources that we have to assist the LEA in that also. And next, assurance that each foster care placement will consider current educational setting and the proximity to the school in which the child is enrolled. So we want to make sure Youth Fostering Connections requires that information. So we just want to let you know how those work together. Next, state educational agencies, SEAs, which TEA is, we must calculate graduation and dropout rates and include students in foster care on the federal state report card submitted to the United States Department of Education. And we do utilize that. That information is freely accessible on the TEA's website. It is also accessible on the United States Department of Education website also. So we see that information. You can utilize that information for your district as we go through and talk about utilization of data and graduation rates and dropout rates. This information is very important that you should be keeping for your LEAs and your districts. So Every Student Succeed Act, this is like your little cheat sheet. So you can always look at this. This comes straight from the Foster Care and Student Success Guide. It's in Chapter 8. So you can follow along with me if you can go through there. So what we did, we want to make sure we showed you exactly what the ESSA implementation should be, just on a quick little chart. This is your cheat sheet. So school of origin, that is very important. So the school in which the student was enrolled in upon entry into foster care or subsequent placement change. And I'm going to go into that a little bit deeper during this webinar. Educational best interest determination. This should be a decision-making process, not just one person, not just one entity. It should be a process to determine that the school setting is the best for the child. So the ESSA requires the educators and child welfare systems work together to collaboratively determine the school setting that is in the best interest of the child. So want to talk about that. Streamline of transitions. The process, everyone knows that there must be transitions to help support those students. So we took it one step further. We have a commission's rule, a rule that we updated the rule January 2023. And we're going to talk about that transition assistance rule. And it goes into, in its law, and we would require certain things to support our students in their transitions from school to school. So we're going to talk about that information. The designated points of contact. So hopefully those who are on here today, you are a designated point of contact. So we want to make sure you let your whole district know that you are that designated point of contact. So when I go to conferences and speak, and I always ask, do you know who your district's designated point of contact is for foster care? Some raise their hand and some don't. So we want to make sure that everyone knows who that person is. So I do a lot of webinars. I want you to know that I am the designated state point of contact for students in foster care. And when you look at your district, you should know who your district designated point of contact is. And then also child welfare has a designated point of contact. So DFPS have educational specialists that are there to support the student as they are in the school. So we want to talk about them today too. So they are designated point of contact. So if the district has questions regarding those students who are in conservatorship, guess who they can reach out to? They can reach out to the DFPS educational specialist. Next, transportation. We want to make sure that you have information within your district regarding transportation. We have placed together a packet. I'm going to show you the resources that we've got it for you to where you can utilize this document as building upon your your streamlined transitions for transportation for your students in foster care in your district. So we have a document for you that you can utilize. You can take and make it your own within your district. Make sure it works with your district's processes, policies, procedures. And then dispute resolution. We created a document for dispute resolution. We know already in your districts, you should have processes for dispute resolutions. So we want to make sure that we clarified how the dispute resolution process should look for students in foster care. And then the last part, data collection and reporting. And I covered that a few minutes ago. This document, this page is the key for ESSA implementation. So we wanted to make sure that you knew about all of this information. So I'm glad that everyone's here today so we can go through here and ensure that we are meeting the needs that you have as a district to meet the needs of ESSA implementation. So School of Origin, I briefly talked about the School of Origin. Here is the resource on the QR code that I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to delve into in this webinar. That QR code leads you to a resource that was built, and that resource was built by TEA, the Texas DFPS, and also the Children's Commission. So we all work together to ensure that the document has everything that you need to make sure you meet the requirements of School of Origin, including the laws and the requisite information. So the School of Origin, you do have different areas regarding the School of Origin. So if the student, and the first one already, if the student attended the school prior to conservatorship, they can remain their School of Origin. If a student moves while they are in foster care, the student attended before the residential placement changed, that could be their School of Origin. And then lastly, a student in foster care enrolled in the public school may remain enrolled in School of Origin even when they move outside of the school's origins attendance zone. So we're going to go more into detail in that today with the resource document. So if you want to go ahead and start looking at that document, you can. That's why I put the QR code on this page. So next, we talked about education best interest determination. So we mentioned before when we just talking about the rule, how we want it to be a collaborative effort. So I just want to talk about the information regarding education best interest determination. ESSA requires collaboration among the district, the LEA, and Texas DFPS to best support the educational needs of that student. So there should be a meeting held to determine the education best interest. School of Origin, it's always considered. You must consider the School of Origin when you are determining education best interest. And also district foster care liaisons. So LEA liaisons, collecting information from the school, data, any report cards, any documentation before that student leaves that campus is very helpful for transitioning information from school to school. So if you can do that before the school, if you know the student is moving, how about collecting that information and having that for the student already prepared so it will help ease that transition as that student goes to the new school. Next, factors to our educational best interest, appropriateness of educational setting. So always that should be factored into it, and the proximity to the residential placement to the School of Origin, that plays a role in it too. So we want to make sure that you understood all of these factors go into that. And then DFPS must consult with the LEA, foster care liaison, and any appropriate other personnel to gather that information for students' best interest. So this is just a highlighted portion of education best interest. We created a document for you that we're going to go over that, remember, you can utilize and look at that now. It's on our website right now, but I'm going to cover that document so you know who is supposed to do what is the school supposed to do, what is DFPS supposed to do during the education best interest. So we have great information for you today. I'm so glad that all of you are here. So streamlining transitions. Remember, this is in the ESSA implementation too, but we took it a step further. We want to make sure that you understood what streamlining transitions is. So when a determination is made that the student's best interest is not to remain in the school of origin, they should be immediately enrolled in the new school. So this information should be held accountable, and everyone should know that information. Even if DFPS does not have all the proper records, that student still should be immediately enrolled if they have the foster care information, if they have that 2085 or that 2085E, that placement authorization form. So as long as they have that placement authorization form, the school must immediately enroll. Okay, when a student will not remain in the school of origin, the receiving school must immediately request those records. So as soon as they come in and you know that student is foster care, you receive that placement authorization form and they didn't have any other records or documentation with them, guess what? You are to go straight in TREX and place that records and request those records. So the receiving school must immediately contact the school they last attended. So remember, if they were in Texas before, we can look up their information. So we want to make sure that you're gathering this information and find ways to assist this student so they can be in the correct placement as they transition. And then we mandate immediate enrollment students. And then the foster care liaison, the district foster care liaison, and the ESSA child welfare point of contact, which is Texas, our educational specialist for DFPS, they must streamline those transitions. So we want to ensure that they streamline those transitions. That's what the transition assistance rule is. And guess what? That's the next thing I want to talk to you about right now. Please hit this QR code. When the transition assistance rule was made, it was first launched in, I want to say, March of 2020. So we all know what was happening back in 2020. So I don't think many people understood or knew what the transition assistance rule was. So we updated this rule in 2023, January 2023. On our website, we created webinars for this transition assistance rule where we went through each individual piece. Please feel free to go back through our webpage and look at the archive. You are able to go on there now and pull up the webinar and also the deck for the webinar to look at this rule intently, because there is a lot of information in this rule to support our students who are homeless and in substitute care. So that's what this rule was made for. So please utilize this QR code. It takes you to the actual rule of law and to also this toolkit. So we created a toolkit for this transition assistance rule. So the toolkit covered nutrition benefits. It also covered enrollment conferences that should be happening, and then student welcome packet requirements and best practices, and then lastly, school introductions to ease transitions. So this rule is very important. It goes to support our students in foster care. We want to make sure that everyone know what this rule is and how to implement it within your district. So the main thing that I want to look at right now is the enrollment conferences, because the enrollment conference is very, very important to support our students in foster care. So that rule requires, it states that if the student is new to your campus, within the first 2 weeks, you should have an enrollment conference. And we provide on there people who should be in the enrollment conference. We also talk about topics that you should talk about within this enrollment conference. We want to ensure that you know who the enrollment conference is for and how the enrollment conferences should be held. So this is only required for students who are homeless or in substitute care. This does not go for military connected students. This is only for students who are in foster care students who are in substitute care or students who are homeless. That's what the transition assistance rule for. So please go to this QR code to download this packet. You can print these documents out and utilize them within your district, because that enrollment conference is very important. We want to make sure that you have this information that is for you. Let me see. I see someone said they're having a hard time with it. Let me see if I can put it in the Q&A for you right quick, because I do want you to have this information. This is very important information. So hopefully, here is the thank you all for letting me know that the QR code is not working, so I can answer and hope. Here we go. So hopefully you have this website. This website takes you exactly to the QR code. It takes you straight to the rule. So hopefully let me know if you have it or if you can see it. And everyone should have. Thank you so much. Thank you for letting me. Y'all are doing great real time. So I'm ready. I'm glad that you put your information in the chat. So I'm going to keep up with this. And remember, if you have questions after this, I give you the foster care inbox. Remember, because I can't answer too many personal questions regarding what you have and situations that you may have currently. So please send them to the foster care inbox. So I'm going to make sure I put that in there for you. Let me. And this is the foster care inbox. So if you have any questions that you can, that you see or that you need as we go through this presentation and questions pop up, and I may not get to all of them within the Q&A, I will be answering some questions in the Q&A, but if I cannot get to them all, please send an email to the foster care liaison at tea.texas.gov. So, and we want to make sure that everyone gets the information that they need. So I'm glad that everyone can see the toolkit. So we'll move on. So next, we talking about, we want to provide you with information about the LEA and the DFPS local points of contact. So if you are the foster care point of contact for your district, thank you for being here today. Next thing I want you to do is let everyone in your district know who you are. Also, within our ESCs, our Education Service Centers, we have 20 ESCs within the state of Texas. Each one of those ESCs have a foster care champion. They are my champions. So if the LEA, if any local district, and if you're having foster care questions or concerns, guess what? You can reach out to your ESC. Your ESC has a foster care champion that is able to answer your questions. And they are also listed in the ACTED system. So you can search ESC and whatever ESC number you want to do, and you can look at foster care liaison, and they will be pulled up also. They are listed on our foster care website also. So within our foster care website, we have foster care liaisons, points of contact, and DFPS educational specialists. We give you all of that information so you don't have to go looking for it too much. So remember, Texas requires a foster care liaison for each district, and you must show who that person is within the Texas ACTED system. Also on our website, we provide you with directions on how to search within the ACTED for the foster care point of contact. So we provide you with actual screenshots and information of that too on the foster care website. We want to make sure that you know DFPS, that educational specialist, must notify every school district either electronically or in writing of their point, who you are, who they are. So those DFPS educational specialists must notify each one of those school districts of who they are and how to contact them and how to reach them. So we want to make sure you know that person and have their information. So please make sure you know who they are, and then we provided you the information on how to search them on within this presentation, which you will have on the website. And just a note down there, I said each ESC has a foster care champion. So any questions that you may have, please feel free to reach out to those ESCs. They're close to you. They're more local to you. They may answer you a little bit quicker than I do. Remember, I handle the whole state of Texas. So I'm trying to make sure I get those answers to you as quick as I can, but you can reach out straight to an ESC and get those answers as fast as you can. So now with transportation, here are, and I provided you with the slide that we utilize to train with this. If you go to the foster care guide on page 92, you will find all of this information. Remember, previously I provided you with the link for the foster care guide. If you go to page 92, this information is in there regarding transportation. So it says who is responsible for coordinating and funding transportation for students in foster care to their school of origin. So look at exactly what it says. Under ESSA, the LEAs and the DFPS are responsible to coordinate and promptly ensure that the students receive transportation to their school of origin when needed, because it may not always be needed. And then LEAs receive title funds and are required to develop and implement clear written procedures in coordination with DFPS when determining how transportation to the school of origin will be provided, arranged, and funded. So there should be a meeting. But remember, LEAs, you receive Title I funding, Title I Part A. They have information that you should be utilizing to provide clear written instructions and procedures regarding transportation of students in foster care. And we have documents for you that you can utilize to create those clear written instructions and procedures if you don't already have them, which you should. Procedures must ensure that transportation will be promptly and cost effective. And remember, we want you to go look through there if there are any disagreements, who agrees to pay and how that should happen. There should be a meeting held. So before you even try to contact us here at TEA, you should go through a process to where you're meeting with DFPS, you're having a formal meeting, you're talking, you're discussing the student, you're having those conversations regarding transportation needs. So also, who is responsible more? The LEA should review the transportation plans annually with DFPS. So each year you should go through the process of sitting down with DFPS, the educational specialist, and making sure that your policies and procedures are in place. There should be an understanding within your district. Coordinate also with neighboring LEAs regarding students in foster care who may be moved from one school to a new school. How can you coordinate transportation? So it's good to have other procedures in place for students in foster care regarding transportation. So here we go. Here is the actual template. This template could be utilized for creating your processes and procedures in your districts. So we have the student in foster care education best interest factors. So that's one document that's up to 4 pages, and I'm going to cover it within this webinar. And then you have the transition plan template. We provided you a template. Both of these documents are from TASB, the Texas Association for School Boards. They assisted and we assisted them in creating this document. So TEA and TASB worked together to create this document in order to build your processes and procedures in place regarding best interest determination and also transportation plans. So you have this information. This is readily available for you. So please make sure you are utilizing this information that's on our website. It's free for you to download, take it and make sure you are sharing it with everyone that's in the district that needs to know this understanding and make those processes and procedures. So, dispute resolution. Remember, I'm still over the overview of ESSA. So we're still talking about all those requirements within ESSA. The dispute resolution. So ESSA, there should be processes in place if you have a dispute regarding placement, school of origin, transportation. So this one talks about transportation. So the LEA should partner with the FPS to resolve any transportation challenges. There should be working together. Remember, your school should have something in place regarding dispute resolution. But if you do not, we're going to go over a document that we created here to inform you regarding any dispute resolutions or how to properly solve a dispute resolution. So data collection and reporting. So reporting, data collection. So we get our information from the LEAs. So LEAs, please make sure your information is up to date, is correct as it can be. So remember, all districts are required to report information. So school performance, graduation rates, dropout rates, we get all of that information from LEAs through PEANS. So that's why we always talk about proper documentation for classifying a student in foster care. Identification is key. It all starts with that identification, and then it leads to a lot to assist that student, that we must have that proper documentation. So TEA, we have to report in our annual state report card. So remember, we have an annual state report card. We must report school performance measures regarding students in foster care, any graduation dropout rates, and also disciplinary measures. We also look at discipline regarding our students in foster care. So that's why we want to make sure that first they must be classified in order for us to collect this data. So we want to make sure that you understand how are you properly classifying the student and what you're doing. So we encourage LEAs, we want you to look at your data before we look at it. So please make sure you're looking at your data to meet any needs for those students in foster care, to plan any interventions, any services that may need it, and also monitor and track their progress. So monitor and track them, especially in our transition assistance rule that I'm going to cover shortly. 11th and 12th graders must be told about post-secondary opportunities. That's in the law. So you must be meeting with your students in foster care who are in 11th and 12th grade. So you must tell them about certain things. So we want to, are you monitoring and tracking their progress? Are you meeting up with them? Are you talking with them about certain things? So this is a great way to do it. So now we came to a little portion about questions, and I'm going to go through some of the Q&A to answer some of the questions if they're ESSA related. So if they're ESSA related. Thank you all for staying with me. I hope I still have your attention because the good stuff that is coming up. So the copy of the slideshow will be made available. So I'm answering that again. We want to make sure that you know you will have access to this slide deck and this recording. You will have access to both of these on the TEA's website. So give us a little time to make sure we download the recording and then we upload the actual slide deck to the website. So you always have access to any of that. So going back, thank you for the QR code information, just going back and looking. So I have a question on here. Are these rules like this for higher ed? So remember, higher education has a different set of rules regarding students in foster care and how they're looked at in higher ed, because most colleges have some rules portion for them. The information that I'm talking about today is for K through 12. So higher ed also looks at some of this information, and you can utilize, it's good to know for our students here to help them as they go through higher ed post-secondary. So some information today will be talked about regarding higher ed. So some of these other questions I will be reaching to, let's see. And we will have this information. Some of these other questions I will be talking about as I go through. So thank you all for being here. The procedure template. So you want the, let me see if I can pull up the, I'm going to put the resources page in the Q&A. So the information and resources page have everything that I'm getting ready to talk about today and present to you. So I'm going to put that in the Q&A that everyone will have that. So thank you for asking that. And I'm sure everyone wants to see that information too. Is there another training for higher ed? I'm glad you asked that. Yes, there is another training for higher ed. Education Reach for Texans is a great organization, and they have a conference coming up in June. So I will be there at the conference too presenting, but everything that they present is for higher ed, and they are great. They also have the higher ed foster care liaisons, because remember that is required within Texas law that every public institution has foster care liaison for higher ed. So that's where they get training from, Education for Texans. So please make sure you're looking up that information. They are very good organization. So please, and they actually have a guide that I think they will be updating soon. So kind of like our foster care education guide, they actually have a guide too. And I'm can't get to the website right quick to put that in there for you. So I apologize for that, but look for Education for Texans. And that information should be coming up. So let's continue on. I want to make sure we utilize your time today. So let's go through this ESSA requirement resources. So that website that I just put in the Q&A, that's where you're going to find everything that I'm going to be talking about. So the resources that I'm going to cover during this webinar is designated points of contact, the school of origin, the education best interest decision-making and coordination, and what to do when it is an emergency withdrawal, and then what to do when it is a planned withdrawal. And then finally, dispute resolution. So I'm going to go through each one, and I'm going to take, we're going to go through a little walk with each one of these. Let me make sure. Let me see if I can look for. I want to make sure that everyone has all the information they need for today. So I know someone is asking for that website. Hold just one moment so I can make sure I can put that in there. Or if someone has Education Reach for Texans information, if they could put it in the Q&A and I will just share it out, that would be great. Because I want to make sure that you have this information. I like for my webinars to be very informative. So when you leave today, you get the answer. Okay, so next, here we go. Let's start talking about designated points of contact. Please let me know if this QR code works. It should work. It should work. So this QR code is where you can find this actual document, the designated points of contact. So I will go over each one of these slides of each part of this. So let's take a look at the purpose of this document. So when we got together with Texas DFPS and the Children's Commission, and thank you all for being here today if you're on the webinar, we wanted to make sure that we provided you information for ESSA requirements, but we also wanted to make sure that everyone understood how the LEA and the child welfare point of contact should happen, should be initiated, what should happen, how to inform any decisions. They should be in writing, working with each one, and the foster care liaison. So what we created was this chart. So this chart will provide you information. Also, within Chapter 8, in Chapter 8, we talk about this more in detail about the information that I just went over previously. So just want to show you what will be covered with the designated points of contact. And remember, this is an ESSA requirement. So everyone should know who this designated point of contact is and what they should do. So let's get started with the DFPS Educational Specialist communication to the LEA. So the DFPS Education Specialists, they cover all things foster care for students in foster care for child welfare. So any questions that you may have, any situations that may come up and you have questions and concerns about, or if you want to include them in meetings on the campus regarding that student, please reach out to them. So this is their communication to the LEA. And hopefully the LEA point of contact, which is the foster care liaison. So what should happen? The DFPS Educational Specialists in the month of August. So we're starting the school year. So what the school year should start, they are reaching out by email to the LEA foster care liaison point of contact. And remember, if they're using email, they're using AxTed. Please make sure if your district's foster care point of contact changes from year to year, it must be updated in AxTed. So if your district's AxTed coordinator, because each district has an AxTed coordinator, please make sure they are updating your information. If you're the foster care liaison in your district, please make sure you're listed in the AxTed system, because guess what? That's how they're going to communicate with you based upon that documentation in AxTed. So in August, they're reaching out. They're trying to let you know who they are. They're going to email you, and this includes both public schools and open enrollment charter schools. They are going to reach out to you. So within the 7 to 10 days, so now in August, they've reached out to you. Within 7 to 10 days, the LEA should be responding to Texas DFPS. They should be responding and letting them know, okay, I am the foster care point of contact, or if you're not anymore and you see that, please direct them to the correct LEA foster care point of contact. We want to make sure that we keep this information up to planning, up to receiving. We want to make sure you have this information. So please, and then up to 1 week with the follow-up. There should be a follow-up. So after that 7 to 10 days and the contact, there should be a follow-up. So if there's no response from the LEA, so this is the educational specialist is reaching out to the LEA, and the LEA have not responded within the 7 to 10 days, and then they're giving them a week to follow up. DFPS will resend an email to that foster care liaison, and if communication is not received, they will contact the district's administrator or superintendent's office, because remember, it is law that they should know who is the foster care liaison. So we want to make sure they want to know who is the correct person. So please make sure you see that. So what is the expectation of all of this? So the expectation is that the ed specialist will communicate with the LEA annually to let them know who they are, how they can support, what they can do to involve and provide resources for the students in foster care at that school district. So it is very important that they know who they are, who each other are. So the DFPS Educational Specialist is making contact with that district, the district should be making contact back with that LEA. So it is very important that that line of communication is open. So remember, the educational specialist is there to support. So if you do not know who your educational specialist is, it is on our foster care webpage. If you go on that link that I put on there earlier regarding the resources, if you go to foster care liaison, who to contact, all of that information is on there. And I'm going to provide that for you too. So now I am on the LEA's portion. I'm on the other side now. The LEA foster care point of contact. Every district should have one. So now what should you be doing when communicating with the education specialist? What should happen? So same thing in August. So once you receive that email from that educational specialist, please respond. Please respond if you are still the foster care liaison for the district. Please respond if you are not with the person's name who is the foster care liaison. So we want to make sure that a response should be necessary. You must respond. So also within that 7 to 10 days also, the ed specialist respond to the DFPS ed specialist with the name of the ESSA point of contact for their LEA. So respond within that 7 to 10 days. And then the week follow up. If they do not hear from you, they will be contacting your administration within your district. So please, that's why we say please respond either way. And then what the expectation is that LEAs must have their updated foster care liaison information in the ACTS system. That's what we want to inquire and make sure that that is important. And please make sure you do that before August. Prior to August, all your contacts for your district should be updated within the ACTS system. So now we're letting you know this now. So guess what? Next school year, if there happens to be a new foster care liaison for your district, please make sure it's updated before the month of August. So want to make sure we highlight that for you during this training. Now, responsibilities, LEA responsibilities. Please understand the contact at the beginning of the school year is key. You want to know who to contact, when to contact, how to contact them. That is key. And maintain contact throughout the year. Remember, ESCs are holding foster care consortiums. So if education service centers hold foster care consortiums, guess what? The DFPS educational specialists are usually there supporting or helping or even presenting during those meetings. Please make sure you understand and know those meetings, reach out for those meetings, attend those meetings because they provide great information that's up to date. And then the trainings from DFPS and the LEA. In LEAs, you should be having foster care professional developments. That is a law. LEA foster care liaisons. Look in chapter 5 of our foster care and student success guide that talks about foster care liaisons responsibilities. You should be having professional developments. Guess what? You can contact your DFPS educational specialist to provide some of that professional development to your district. This is a great way to make sure that we are having great communication and collaboration with DFPS ed specialists and the districts. So please make sure you are communicating with them. So let me check and see any questions or comments. Let me put in the chat because I do see a question about how do we find out who our specialist is? Let's see, foster care points of contact. I'm going to put this website in. So we want to put that in there. So now hopefully you know who to contact. It is very important. We want to make sure you contact that person. I have another question about one of the documents on the resource page, the transition planning guide for students in foster care receiving special education service. It says it's a broken link. It's a broken link because we are currently updating that document. So that document will be updated soon. So that's why it has not been taken off the website just yet, but we will be updating that soon. So that's why you currently do not see it. So thank you for looking at that. So I'm glad to know you're looking at our resources page. to see what is going on. See any other questions about communication? And I see another question about withdrawing, and we're going to cover that in just a moment with our other document. So great job, everyone. Let's keep moving right along because we have these other documents. So School of Origin document. This link should work. Plus you have the already link to the webpage where the resources are. This is the School of Origin document. Remember, we talked about it. It is a ESSA requirement. So guess what? Texas DFPS, and you see all of them down there. Texas DFPS, TEA, TASB, and also the Children's Commission, all four agencies work together to create this document and to ensure that it is correct and provide you with the most up-to-date information. So just want to provide you with the link to where it is and what this document looks like. So let's delve into the document. So a student is entitled to remain at their school of origin unless, and you see it's underlined, unless it is not in the best interest of the student. So when you're meeting to determine school of origin, remember you have documents that should be in place, information that be in place, and a meeting that should be held. So we don't want this just to be one person making this decision. So what is school of origin? So if you didn't know before, the school where the student is enrolled prior to entering in conservatorship, or the school where the student was enrolled when a student's placement was changed while they are in foster care. So if a student's placement changed while they're in foster care, that could be a school of origin concern. So just want to make sure you are aware of that. What are the timelines? State law entities entitles a student to continue to attend the school of origin or until graduation. Remember, I showed you that earlier. That's a Texas law. Graduation or completion of the highest grade offered at the school, unless it is not in the student's best interest. So they have the opportunity to continue at that school of origin on graduation or until the highest completion grade for that school. And we're going to talk about it. Remember, at the bottom of this, we have scenarios. Guess what? We're going to talk about those scenarios too. The next one, who determines best interest? Who determines it? So you have DFPS and you have SSCCs. They collaborate, and you see it in bold. Collaboration with the school district and the student to make the best interest determination. But the DFPS are responsible for the final school of origin decision. So we just want to make sure we highlight that, but there should be some sort of collaboration with this. So let's go through some of these scenarios. I won't be able to go through all of them. I'm watching my time. So let's look at the first example A. And remember, you have access to this. You have the information for this. Jerry attends school A. So Jerry enters foster care and is placed in a foster care home in the attendance area of school B. School A is Jerry's school of origin, and he is entitled to continue to attend school A unless it is not in his best interest. So he is, his foster placement is in school B, but guess what? His school of origin is still school A. So we wanted to let you know that's one of the small ones, and we wanted to let you know that information. So let's go down to D. Let's look at the one that has nuances. So let's look at D. So Nina continues to attend school A after she enters foster care. Nina enrolls in school B when she returns to her parents, who later moved to attending school C. So we're looking at that situation. That's 3 different schools. So she was attending school A after she enters foster care. Then she enrolls in school B when she's returned back to her parents. She goes to school B then. And then until who moved later to attending school C. Then they move later. So let's look at the classification. Under Texas Education Code, section 25.001G, Nina can attend school A, or under the Texas Education Code section 25.001G1, Nina can attend school B too. And then Nina can also attend school C because she resides in the school attendance area. So Nina has her pick of which school she would like to continue in based upon Texas Education Code. So just wanted to let you know this information about the nuances within school of origin. There are some nuances, and there are probably more examples than just these 4 on here now. But we wanted to provide you with information that leads to more information. And then at the bottom of the resource document that we have, we provided you with the actual law behind school of origin that may exist for each one of those examples, and some examples that may not be on here already. So what should the LEA's responsibilities be with school of origin? Students' records. Student records are very important. We want to know about the student when they start maybe utilizing school of origin. Guess what? Those records become important because we need to know what happened at the last school or what's going on. New placement information. If the student is newly placed in your school, that information is very important. And you must coordinate with DFPS and the school districts in order to make sure we understand what's going on with the school, with the student, and certain placements with school of origin. Because remember, as I just read that example, school of origin is very nuanced. There are different ways and different things that may go into place with school of origin for a student in foster care. So now for school of origin, I'm at a questions portion and I'm looking through here. Is there an age when a student can no longer attend school? And remember, that's Texas school law. And I hate to quote Texas school law right now, especially if I can't give you the actual information. So I will be able to provide you that information later. So I always want to provide Texas law before I give you an answer. I know the age, but I want to make sure I give you law when I provide you with that age. Does family court judge ever intervene to determine the student's best interest on which school to attend if there is unresolved dispute? Now, remember, if the student is in conservatorship, the courts can always intervene. They can. That's when you go through that dispute resolution process. So remember, the student is in conservatorship. The court has granted conservatorship. They can always step in. So just want to let you know and answer that question. So thank you for those. So just looking through. Okay, let's continue. We're doing a good job so far. We're moving right along. Education, best interest, decision-making, and coordination. So with this, we want to make sure that you have this first of all, this document. There is a lot of information within this document. I'm going to go through and explain some of these pieces and probably the reasoning but why some of these pieces. So we want to make sure we have this information. So the overview, because you just saw what that document entails, and there was a lot in there. So I want to make sure I provide you with an overview of that document before we get into it. So at the top, you have the purpose and what is the intended result of this document. So the purpose of this document was to clarify and define and the protocols for how education and child welfare partners are to work together to ensure the education best interest decisions as required by ESSA. So the chart goes through and describes what the LEA should do, what the DFPS should be doing, and those things. So we want to make sure. We also provided a timeline for certain situations. And before, you never really seen a timeline. So this is one of the first timelines you're actually seeing regarding communication processes, regarding education interest, best decision maker. And also the result for this document, we want to make sure the education and child welfare partners are having the understanding an actual roadmap to how to work together to accurately and to support the education best interest for our students in foster care. And we want to make sure they're doing this with informed information, informed decisions with the correct information. So that's what this is. So we want to ensure that you have an actual document that talks about this. So we provide you with circumstances and examples within the document. So we're going to go through and talk about those. And then at the end part, additional notes area for education best interest will already be made sometimes. However, the schools can provide information to expedite the enrollment, streamline those transitions, and gather information to support the student. So we just want to put that little additional note in there for you. And then also another additional note is that information from the school will help to inform decision making. So the caregiver can inform the teacher of the child moving. So if they know that that day was the last day for the student, or they know Friday is the day the student will have a new placement, guess what? The teachers and everyone at the school can be aware and provide that information for their student to take to the new school. So that's what this also helps provide. And then foster care is a term used to describe a child in place outside the home with a relative kinship foster home or residential placement. So we want to tell you all the keys. Everything in purple is related to DFPS, that is led by DFPS. And then everything in yellow is led by the district, the LEA. So for emergency school withdrawals, remember, this is, you have not heard previously, something happened, the student had to be emergency withdrawn from their placement, therefore emergency withdrawn from the school. We're going to cover what should be happening. So some of the circumstances that may have this. So the student quickly moves from one residential location to another in the circumstances, and the immediate crisis situations will require swift action. So there's no pre-telling the school anything. Something happened, the student had to be moved quickly. So entry into foster care, that is the initial entry into foster care. That could be emergency placement, immediate placement changes. So anytime something happens due to court orders or safety concerns, the child is immediately removed. And then either psychiatric hospital administration or arrest or juvenile detention. Those are some circumstances behind emergency school withdrawals. So the first portion, remember, purple is DFPS led. So who will contact the school? What will DFPS do? Who will contact the school? Any of the agency staff. So either DFPS caseworker or the educational specialist or the student's new caregiver will give the contact the previous attended school, either by phone. So we're saying that they're going to contact someone by phone. What should occur? What will occur? What will the DFPS lead do immediately after the school's placement, the child's placement changes? In emergency situations, the placement change most likely will have already occurred. So the placement change may have already occurred, but they still must let the school know. So we want to make sure you understand that DFPS will inform the school or the child's caregiver. So that's information to know. What is needed? What documentation is needed from DFPS? They need the DFPS form 2085 or the 2085E and or the court order. The caseworker and the student's caregiver will notify the district's foster care liaison to expedite the collection of the information and the records to support a smooth transition to that new school. So they're working behind the scenes to make sure the transition to the new school is swift. So we want to make sure that you understand that. And then now let's go into what is led by the school. So here we are with the yellow portion. What information or documents will be collected by the school and provided to DFPS? So what will the school do to provide DFPS with the information. So we already talked about that TASB education best interest form, that document, and I provide you with the information for that. Special education services or special accommodations, the IEP or 504, if the student has all of that, make sure that information goes with the student also. Information on the students' positive connections and any school community support. So if they build rapport and relationships with someone on that campus, that information is very helpful to assist with that transition that that student is going to make. Extracurricular activities, any services, tutoring, anything that that student is doing within that district, that information should be gathered and sent with that student. It will help as the student go to the new school. We hopefully to reduce any trauma, identify the services and supports needed for that student in foster care. So when the school is identified, the school should be building all of this together, utilizing all this information so they can provide it to the next school. Next, how much time does the school have to provide that information? As soon as possible. So as soon as you know, please start gathering that information as soon as possible. So as we're talking through this document now, guess what? Building this information for each student you have in foster care would be ideal, because you know eventually if a new placement happening or something going on, guess what? You have documentation ready to go. And within 10 business days, as we asked, that it be turned around. So as soon as you receive the request, within 10 business days, that information should be going to the person requesting. And then the recommendation. So here is our recommendation for school districts regarding when you receive that initial ask. Day 1 to day 3, the foster care liaison reaches out and begins to gather the information. And then from day 5 to day 10, foster care liaison, they synthesize the information and follows up with DFPS caseworker or the student's caregiver to provide that information, because we want to ensure ease of transitions. So please make sure you're utilizing this information. Please make sure you have that information. So templates for students in foster care. This is the education best interest factors. And I'm showing you all 4 pages because I want you to understand that this information has to ask specific questions regarding the best interest of that student. And remember, we wanted this to be a collaborative effort. So in order to collaborate, you must have a template or something to go by to ensure that you're meeting all the needs of this student. So please make sure you're understanding to go and look through each one of these questions that's built to inform everyone that is working with the student. So make sure this form is on the resources page. And also the link to the emergency withdrawal resource, it is on the resource page. The breakdown is only in this document. So, but make sure you are looking for that. So the transportation template, remember I talked about this earlier also, but I want to show you all 4 pages for this. This is very good information to have. This should be built into your policies and procedures within your district. What are your transportation policies and procedures in your district? Do you know them? Guess what? We provide you with a template. You can utilize this template or build your own district template using some of the information that is within this. So please make sure you have this information. So LEA's best interest in communication with LEAs and DFPS, that is key. Keep the communication lines open. And remember, before I talked about the designated points of contact, guess what? They need to know who each other are. the ed specialist and the LEA foster care liaison. They should build that rapport, because guess what? They have to communicate about a lot of things that are happening with students. Enrollment conference. Remember, before I talked about the transition assistance toolkit, the enrollment conference is key to building all of this knowledge. You're asking all of these questions within that conference. So education best interest, guess what? All the documents, all the information, you can be talking about that in the enrollment conference and building that there. So you have the information to build there. Maintain the documentation for the students. Please maintain that information, because at any time it could be an emergency withdrawal, it could be a planned withdrawal. You just never know, but you need to make sure you have the information and work collaboratively with making any decisions. So we want to make sure that you are working collaboratively for that purpose. So now I'm to any questions. And I'm going to share information that was shared in the chat, in the Q&A. Because I think it's good information to have. So any questions? So when DFPS or CPS is enrolling, withdrawing, or requesting information, will they provide us with the 2085 or court order? They should, yes. Because remember, you cannot classify a student as foster care if they do not have that 2085, that 2085E, or the court order. They must have some information indicating that that student is in conservatorship. And that is what we use here in the state of Texas. The placement authorization form, which is the 2085E, the educational best decision maker, which is the 2085. Well, the 2085E is the education best decision maker. The placement authorization is the 2085. And remember, those documents are used to make sure we classify MPs correctly, that that student is in conservatorship, is in foster care. So thank you for that question. So wanted to pause right here. Does your district have procedures and protocols in place to support ESSA implementation for foster care? Based on all the information that I've spoken about so far, hopefully it wasn't new information for you. Hopefully this is really an update for you, just letting you know about this resources that we have out, and you're going to go back and share all of these resources with personnel in your district. So that's what my hope is. But we want to make sure that you have information for your districts regarding ESSA implementation. So how does your district have ESSA implementation? And you can put it in the Q&A. And I'm getting asked about the resource documents again. I'm going to put the website for the resources, for all the foster care resources in here, just in case you're not seeing those. A question that I'm seeing is, can you speak about the safety plan and how it plays into enrollment? So a safety plan is based upon the student. So that could be discussed within the enrollment conference. That is a perfect situation, or something. If a safety plan is in place for that student based upon where they were before or what's been happening before with that student, during the enrollment conference is the perfect time to discuss any safety plans regarding students. And having a copy of that safety plan to give to the new school is also a good recommendation too. So thank you for that question. Can ESSA implementation assist high school students with credit recovery? If you look at the transition assistance rule, that toolkit can go, because in that rule provides information regarding credits. So please look at, and it's very detailed regarding how credits can be done for students in foster care. So please make sure you go back and look at that transition assistance rule in that toolkit. So it's very information about that. So thank you for that question. What could a CASA volunteer provide when they request student attendance and grades? Remember, you have to be very, if the student, because remember, the school can only provide information regarding attendance and grades to those who they have a 2085E regarding with. And CASA volunteers and workers, please make sure you have that appropriate documentation for that school so they can share that information with you. They need to make sure that you are required by the courts to actually receive this information, because that goes a lot with that. So thank you for being here today for CASA workers who are here today learning more about how we can support our students. A question: what are your recommendations for students in foster care from other states regarding PEEMS and child nutrition services? Remember, it's in our foster care guide too. I always want to put the plug in. This information is in our foster care and student success guide. When students are coming from other states and they were in foster care placement in other states, if they do not have a 2085 or a 2085 for the state of Texas, we do not classify them as foster care in PEEMS, but in student nutrition, they still get school nutrition benefits, child nutrition benefits. So they still should make sure you should have some information in detail on how you're communicating with your nutrition managers regarding students who are coming to your school districts and are in placements in other states. So that's also about processes and protocols. What are your processes and procedures? And we talk about that more in our foster care and student success guide. I want to say chapter 7. So please go look at our chapter 7. So now we're going to continue because I have 30 minutes left and I want to make sure I get through the rest of this presentation. So if I don't answer your questions today, remember always please feel free to email fostercareliaison@tea.texas.gov. Please make sure you email. And I did put that in the Q&A earlier. So if I have not answered your question, please scroll up and look for that email and I will show you at the end of this webinar also. So here we go, dispute resolution. So within your district, you already have a dispute resolution process. Guess what? You can build upon that, or you can look at this dispute resolution that is specifically built for our students in foster care. So we have this for you, and we want to make sure that you have this information. So Fostering Connections Act, they and the ESSA require coordination among agencies, the state agency and the school district regarding students in foster care. So if there is not a meeting of the minds with regarding any aspects of that, there should be a part of a process. There should be a dispute resolution process that both parties should know about. So we classified them here as level 1, which is the campus level. We want you to solve all disputes at the campus level. If you cannot solve it at the campus level, guess what? You go to level 2. You go to the district level with all the parties within the district level. And then after the district level, if it cannot still be solved, then you go to the state level. So we're going to go through all of these levels for dispute resolution. Let's look at level 1, the campus level. So that school staff, administrators, the caseworker, or the caregiver, they should look to solve those problems, to solve any ESSA-related problems. The district foster care point of contact should be immediately informed about any decisions or situations happening, especially at the campus level. That district foster care point of contact should know everything that is happening regarding foster care within that district. So, and they should work to solve those problems. Remember, we just talked about communication and coordination. We want to make sure that everyone knows who everyone is to make sure we can solve these problems. So next steps, if there is no resolution, then we recommend you go to the district level immediately or no later than 7 to 10 business days. So we're looking at these outlines of these dates and times also. So level 2, dispute resolution for level 2. So the dispute should be sent to the district foster care point of contact. So that district foster care liaison, the DFPS regional educational specialist. So that educational specialist should be included too. And then the DFPS program administrator. So that DFPS educational specialist will get their administrator involved. So we want to make sure that you're seeking out guidance regarding your LA, regarding any dispute resolutions process. So what is your district's dispute resolutions process? How is the foster care liaison communicating with the DFPS regional specialist? How are they communicating? What are they doing? A meeting should be held. A formal meeting should be held to discuss what is the concern. So there should be a coordinating meeting, including all of those. It depends on what the dispute is about, based upon who should be there. But you know, the main personnel that should be there is the district foster care liaison, the DFPS educational specialist, and whatever campus that is having that dispute. Their principal administrator should be there also. So the parties could be convening to discuss any ESSA related concerns. And then we recommend contact no later than 7 to 10 business days once the LEA foster care point of contact and the DFPS regional educational specialists are made aware. So once they are aware of what's going on, there should be information. Want to make sure we recommend immediately escalating to the state level if you cannot agree to something that's in the district. If you're still not in agreement, if there's still some hesitancy regarding the situation, then you're going to level 3. So level 3, the state level. This is when all of the concerns are funneled to me. So the state level. So if the issue still remains unresolved, the TEA foster care point of contact, the DFPS educational specialist at the state office, which is the personnel that's over all of the DFPS educational specialists, must reach a resolution in consultation with each respective agency's leadership. So that means we're talking with the district foster care liaison, the LEA foster care liaison. We're talking with the principal, the administrators of that campus, wherever that situation is. We're also talking with district superintendents, if need be, to find out what is going on and why couldn't resolve be reached at the district level. So remember, on here, we have all the things, the information that is needed, because we must have a lot of details and information in order for us to come to a resolution. So that means we're going to ask for a lot of documentation, a lot of resources, the information that has been done so far. We must have all of that in order to make an informed decision. So the TEA point of contact and the DFPS state office education program specialist, they coordinate a new information and we issue a resolve to the situation. Recommended resolution, it will be given as soon as possible, but no later than 15 days, because it depends on the severity of the situation. We may need a little more time to collect a lot more information in order to make an informed decision. But that's why we ask that all of this information, you must utilize your local resources. So please make sure you are trying to resolve the situation and concern at the campus level and at the district level. So you making sure you done all that you can at level 1 and level 2. So what the LEA should do, the district dispute resolution process. What is your district dispute resolution process? Please utilize it. Maintain your documentation. Every time you talk to someone, every time you have a communication with someone, when a decision is reached and everyone is not understanding what's going on, every time you had a meeting, who was at the meeting? all that documentation should be gathered and kept, especially if it's going to escalate to the state level. And start at the LEA level before coming to level 3. So if it's at the campus level and they say, I don't like what y'all doing, I'm going straight to level 3, then you're skipping levels. So we want to make sure you go through the actual process. So please, that's why we always say at the beginning to discuss the dispute resolution process at the beginning. So now, here we go. Just wanted any questions regarding dispute resolution? And I have a question, can you send a link for the fill in the blank forms for the school level? We do not have dispute resolution forms. I'm thinking the forms that you're talking about are the TASB forms. The TASB forms are on that website that I sent before regarding resources. So please utilize those TASB forms. If you scroll down to the bottom of that page, you'll see TASB forms that's on that resource link. Okay, let me show you all these good resources. Here we go. So foster care and student success guide webpage. Remember when we came out with the foster care and student success guide, the first publishing of it was, I want to say 2002. And it was recently updated in 2022. So please make sure you're looking at this. It's a brand new guide. It's a lot of information. TEA, the Texas Children's Commission, which is the courts, and Texas DFPS work together to build this document. It is a great guide. Anytime anybody asks me any questions, guess what? I'm going to the guide and I'm telling you what page it's on. And I'm telling you where to look for within the guide. So just want to make sure I let you know about the guide. This is the actual website. If you want to type it in, this goes directly to the guide. When the guide came out, guess what? I did an actual training series on the guide. So I did an overview of the guide and then I went chapter by chapter. So me speaking to you now during this webinar, I did over 10 webinars regarding the foster care guide. They are online right now. You can always go back, look at the slide deck and look at the recording. And I've had someone send me a recording the other day, said, on this slide, you said this, can you please explain more? And guess what I did? So that's the purpose of it. Please utilize it for trainings. If you want to talk about ESSA to your district, guess what? You can utilize this training. You can utilize the Chapter 8 training that's already on the website. You can use a slide deck. I've done all that for you. So it will remain on there. It will provide you with more guidance on how to utilize the guide, what's in the guide, how to utilize what's in the guide to support students in foster care. So please utilize that information. We have great information through there. So all the questions, mostly all the questions that I've been seeing today, they're answered in the guide. Most of the questions that you're asking today are answered within the guide. So please utilize the foster care and student success guide. So I'm going back, just showing you all, here's the designated points of contact, the school of origin determination. Here's this document. So please make sure you're looking at that. The best interest determination for the emergency school withdrawal and the planned school withdrawal. So please go back and look at that document. The dispute resolution, please make sure you're utilizing that in the ESSA guidance toolkit. So also want to provide you with the self-assessment tool. So this is a very important tool. If you have not heard about it already, please make sure you're listening now. The special populations monitoring. Foster care is ESSA, which is federal, and it can be monitored at any time. So we want to make sure that you know how your program is doing, how your district foster care program is doing. So you can utilize this self-assessment to see how you are building your processes and procedures within your district. So It includes highly mobile students, which is the foster care, homeless, and your military connected students. They are monitored, reviewed, and we support you in your review. So the purpose of the self-assessment is to assist the LEA leader teams in evaluating and improving your other special populations programs, which are the foster care, the homeless, and the military connected students. So we are here to support you. We want to make sure it is there to improve your program. So please utilize the self-assessment tool within, because remember, foster care is part of accountability. So we want you to make sure you are doing all what you can to support your students in foster care for those accountability measures also. So foster care office hours, guess what? If I didn't get your question answered today, guess what? You have an opportunity tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a foster care office hours where I open up a Zoom room and I'm answering questions as best as I can on point. But if I can't answer it, then I will get that information and I will provide you with an answer. So that's why I always classify using the foster care inbox. So we have a foster care office hours tomorrow from 10 to 11. So please make sure you register. This information is on the front page of the foster care website, along with how you register for this one. And I will provide a next foster care office hour on May 10th. So please make sure you register for those. We talk about a lot of information. We just an open forum. I just want an open forum to make sure that we address any questions or concerns that you are having. Want to provide you with the support that you need. So with our highly mobile and at-risk student programs, we wanted to make sure you understand all of our programs. So we have a highly mobile and at-risk webinar. We have 4 webinars throughout the year. Our last webinar for this year will be May 2nd, 2024. So we want to provide you with this information, or make sure you register for this webinar. We talk about all of the programs. We talk about Military Connected. We provide updates. We talk about our Texas Education for Homeless Children and Youth program updates. We talk about foster care student success. We provide updates regarding that. And also we provide PRS updates from time to time too. So please make sure you're registering for this webinar. It will be the fastest hour and a half you will sit, because we are constantly flowing with good information. So please make sure you attend this information. In updates, so hopefully you got an update regarding this webinar. You received a good announcement regarding this webinar and about the state office hours. Thank you for signing up. So if you did not and somebody just sent it to you, please, this is how you can sign up for updates from these areas. So on the front page of the TEA's website, it has sign up for updates. Please sign up for our at-risk and highly mobile student program division, foster care. Anytime we send out any information, you'll automatically get it. So please make sure you do that. We have a foster care newsletter that is coming out very soon, hopefully by the end of this week. So I want you all to get that information straight to your inbox, because it has a lot of great updates and information in the foster care newsletter. So please make sure you are registered and to receive any updates that are coming up. And we will not share that information. I want to get straight to this, because I want to thank you all for the time that you spent with me today. Hopefully I provided you with a little clarity about more information about ESSA implementation. I know I kind of went kind of fast because it's a lot, but please feel free to email any questions or concerns. Please just write this down now, and any question that you had during this webinar, please email it to us here at the agency, fostercareliaison@tea.texas.gov. Also, this QR code is a survey QR code. So please provide us with your feedback. I want to know how we can make this webinars better. I want to know how to get more information to you. What information would you like to see? Please do that QR code and provide us with any feedback that you can to help us improve giving information to you. So I want to thank you all today for joining me. Kind of losing my breath at the end here. I mean, losing my voice at the end. But thank you for joining me. I hope I provided you with all the assistance you needed to understand ESSA implementation when working with students in foster care. I want to provide you with any other information you may need. Please feel free to email me, and I do get back with you. I do answer your questions. And I do utilize the foster care and student success guide. So thank you all for joining me today. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, I want to thank you all. And the webinar, stay on for a couple of minutes to make sure that you get this email address, and please fill out the survey. But I want to make sure, thank you all for being here today. Hopefully you got what you needed today or taking you there. So please make sure you have a great rest of your day today. So thank you all for joining me during this webinar.